This video is dedicated to Paul Lance. If you look like me, right now you are at Mach 5. We don't have the luxury of peaceful protests and going out of our houses and being beaten to death and dragged away. We don't have that luxury. So if you still subscribe to that mythology about what America used to be, we understand. But it is no longer in our DNA to sit around and watch people of color being slaughtered, disappeared, beaten in the streets of American cities by the Stasi. Yes, I said it. Now, all props go out to all these demonstrations. But people often ask me, why do you not, if you are a long-time civil rights activist, motivate black and red people to get into the streets of Washington, D.C. to protect brown citizens? The reason is simple. We have no protection for our bodies. Now, folks who have organized protests have the luxury of going out there in Washington, D.C., Minneapolis, Chicago, Charlotte, North Carolina, and every city that the Stasi deems a threat. And when they are done peacefully protesting, they can go back to where they came from. Here's the issue I have with this and the agenda. The low-hanging fruit is every time ICE or some other entity attacks a white protest, they blow up somebody like a priest or some citizen with long hair or whatever, and they cause them bodily harm. This is what we, as people of color, call low-hanging fruit. They are people that really believe in what they are doing, and they sacrifice their lives, like John Brown and others, Quakers, and folks that were anti-slavery. But when you ask a population who has been abused since your forefathers came here, you are asking way too much. So when you ask a large conglomeration of black people in the DMV, around Washington, D.C., and Native Americans from across the country, which we brought here in another movement and another time to come here and peacefully be beaten and killed, because that is the agenda, you're asking too much. This is why you don't see droves of black people in Washington, D.C., but you see it in Chicago, You see it in Minneapolis, you see it in Los Angeles, and you see it in New York. Because they are not confined to the wishes of people who are organizing protests here. Let me be clear. After 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 years of every black person in every corner of this globe being dominated by white society, one thing we have no stomach for is domination here. This is not the white movement of America. This is not solely a military opposition against Donald Trump. What this is a culmination of generations of hurry up and wait. And what you're asking us to do by your peaceful protests is to once again get lynched, driven out of our homes, murdered without any recourse, and wait for the next election. Now, I'm going to make something else painfully clear. This is no longer for us, the woke socialists. Vote blue, no matter who movement. That's not going to happen. You all fucked this up with Joe Biden. When you had a Congress and a Senate carte blanche ready to do anything we needed done to correct this mistake that we made for generations. But instead, you listened, all of you, to the white massa, and you're still listening to him. Somalis and Muslims and Latinos voted for Donald Trump, and now they're getting fucked over. But I tell you who didn't? We didn't. Celebrities did. All these people. Peaceful protests do play a part in this change that we are undergoing. But violence is absolutely being inflicted upon the American population, sanctioned by Congress through keeping their mouths shut, paid for by your tax dollars, and by the corrupt Supreme Court. You have no rights. Now let me make something else abundantly clear. You can listen to me tonight, or you cannot listen. I would advise you, if you want to get information minute by minute on what is actually going on in this country, you need to like and subscribe to every single solitary YouTube video that you are seeing right now. Because the mainstream media, including MSNBC, CNN, News Nation, and everything else that you view when you turn on your boob tube, is all paid for now by either APAC interests, Big Pharma, or the Trump Russian regime. All of that is controlled by the Stasi. And when I talk about the Stasi, I'm going to talk to you again about people that look like me. The unfortunate problem with America is I was not a slave. I was not a person of color that lived in the Deep South during the Civil Rights Movement. I stand on the shoulder of heroes that died so that I could sit here and talk to you tonight on this camera. That's who I am. I'm not a Democrat who sold out to AIPAC. I'm not an elected official. I don't like being owned by anyone. And no ancestor of mine ever was solely. So that being said, there is no instance or scenario that I will be involved in where I will get my ass beat by anyone representing this Stasi, be zip-tied and carted off to jail, and then call it peaceful. It is no longer part of my DNA to do so, and I refuse it. And if that's your thing, good on you. I will wholeheartedly still go to Union Station and support Flair. But I will not sacrifice my body so that another generation of white people can claim victory because it was nonviolent. I and all of my ancestors are a product of white violence. We are a product of our environment too. We are not your sacrificial lambs. And every day you walk out of your door and you are white, you have at least 495 years of white privilege. I don't beg for my life. I fight for my life. And once that white hand touches my shoulder, this movement becomes violent, as it should, for anyone that has disappeared, beaten, or abused by the Trump administration. There is no one coming to our rescue when we're taken away. If you do not look like me, you have no cause to tell me how to react to the Stasi. What is happening right now in America is exactly according to the Hitler playbook. It is the dream of Stephen Miller. Once you realize that, you will understand that when black people flood the streets of Washington, D.C., full stop, they are ready to fight for their lives and nothing less. And if you can't accept that, you're not with us either. This is the Woke Socialist Podcast. Please stay safe and do what is right for you.